Now, I will add a little bit of extra context to this question, actually, because I know where it came from, because it's a topic that we are discussing at the moment in Never Not Finishing School with some of the grads that we're working with. So here's the question. When looking for a job, how can I follow up with the same studio or hiring manager over months or years without feeling annoying? What cadence and channels work? So this comes from a place of like, hey, we encourage people to reach out and to put themselves out there. But it's really easy, like, to not hear something and then just go, I'll leave it. So how do we do that in a way where it's like we're not annoying and we're not that person trying to sell me, 40 to 50 leads a month on LinkedIn, but in a way that, hey, I can add value here.
Well, I think the most sort of familiar, well, I guess the most natural way is to kind of just connect back to the previous conversation. So I have to go back to the same mode of conversation, and I try to reconnect. And I, might ask if anything's changed. I might have something new I want to share with them, or I want to give them something to you. I'm trying to find sort of mutual exchange. Keep in mind that you are not annoying if they actually need to hire and they just forgot about you. And you're like, oh, hey, by the way, just letting you know I'm still available. They might be like, perfect, I've got something. So your default assumption that you're annoying may not actually be correct. But I also have the same thing. I feel a bit cringe, like, oh, I'm reaching out to you and it feels a bit awkward. I might go, hey, I remember our last conversation, we talked about this, and I might share an article or say, hey, I'm going to be at this event. Will I see you there? Or can I buy you a coffee and check in on any movement or what you're seeing in the market to try to find some sort of natural exchange moment. I had one recently where I knew I was walking into this exact situation of like, I'm going to ask them about an opportunity. They may not have anything now, and I'm going to feel a bit cringe in the future. So I said, hey, you mentioned there's some opportunities coming up in the new year. You know what I'll do now? I'll just put in a 30-minute virtual catch-up in December. If we don't need it later, that's fine. But then we've got it in the diary and we can reconnect. So I've saved future Tarra a cringe moment by going, we said we would do it. We've got it in the diary. It's prearranged. I'm going to feel less awkward about catching up. But also just like, how are you? You had mentioned this was happening. How's that going? Or is there any movement? And I always ask people, is there anyone else you think I should also talk to? Because remember, a network is just that. It's not just you and them. They have nodes and you have nodes. And so sometimes out of this conversation, they're like, oh, I don't have any roles, but I know someone who is looking for blah, or you could put them in contact with someone you know. So you're always looking for mutual exchange. And that's really important to be always exploring these types of conversations. And if you can say, hey, the next time I might see you, or there's something in the future to reach out to, do it. But also, you know what? You don't ask, you don't get. So reach out in the most natural way that works for you. Don't stay silent, because if you miss an opportunity because you didn't kind of reconnect, you will kick yourself.
Yeah. I like the calendar idea. That's good. That's one, it does take the awkwardness out, but also it's like a prompt for the future that's already there that you don't have to make. I mean, they can always say no, right? But they've still got to come back to you and say, hey, can we move this? Or I can't make it. And totally. Again, you've been able to get that conversation going again. So yeah, excellent. Anything to add, Caitlin, on this kind of like, just keep going? Like how do you keep that?
I mean, we just went through the hiring process at Paymate as well. So I've been on the receiving end of that just recently. But yeah, I can say that, there were people that followed up and we weren't able to respond to them straight away. And so I suppose we really appreciated that and showed that they were at least interested in the work that we did and being a part of it in some way. So, we took note of that, even though we were at the part where we had those positions filled. But yeah.
Any stories on how people stood out?
I suppose I referred on, but I think it was, not being too, always, I think when I was told about writing my CV, it was like not bombard them with information. So yeah, they were all the ones that, like, I suppose I kind of glanced over a bit more, was like when there was too much information for me to read, because we did have people emailing in all the time. But yeah, and actually knowing that they had read the description and that how they actually suited the role as well, rather than just going, I need work. And I felt sorry for them, because I'm like, yes, I'd love to give you work, but at the same time, we can't just bring you on for the sake of bringing you on. It has to fit, it has to be right. Yeah.
And that's back to your point, Tara, right? Like saying I need a job that's not the mutual exchange. That's not a bit of like, here's what I can do for you.
Yeah, how can I add value to your business? But there's so many people that like they spell my name wrong in the LinkedIn message, or they connect with me and then I get indeed a wall of text and a CV. They haven't asked if I'm hiring. They clearly haven't read what we do. Like sometimes you just get so much of this like slop marketing reach where I'm like, you clearly have no idea what I do or where I live, or like, just it's completely random. So the ones that, take a few minutes to make it genuine or show a bit of personality is really appreciated. And also, like, I do know a lot of people who do hire. So if someone says, do you know anyone? I also want to help out that connection of mine. So I might grab and refer onwards. But it is a numbers game. You do have to put a lot of feelers out there to land a few, and that's just part and parcel of it.
Yeah. I will never forget the story. I probably said this the last time you're on, but I'm telling my wife at the moment, which is like, if you want to go and work for a company, just because they don't have the role that you want advertised doesn't mean you shouldn't try and get in there somehow. And I remember the story you told of applying for a job that you didn't want even, and that weren't right, but you wanted to work at that company, and then you got noticed.
I wanted to meet them, and they were like, you clearly are not a project manager. And I'm like, no, but I really love what you do, for example. And I listed a couple of cool projects, and then we met for a beer. And then 6 months later, they asked if I wanted to be a partner. And I was like, that's the role I want.
Yeah.
You didn't even know who I was, and you didn't even know you needed me. So yeah, if you were like, I just need to meet this person or this company, you got to find a way. And I also wanted to work at BCG Digital Ventures, and I'm like, they'll never hire me for my CV. So I sent a YouTube link of me talking about design, going, that's the way in. So you got to find your own wedge that works for your profile.
Yes, that's excellent. Funnily enough, straight after this, I've got a Zoom with someone who just reached out and said, hey, can we catch up? So we'll see whether all the research and homework has been done. And if not, I will subtly suggest that's a good way of doing it in future.
Check out episode 46.
Exactly.